ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
It's Thursday, April 24th, 2025. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, and this is our final weekly video fishing forecast for the region for this month of April. A lot to cover this week going into the final weekend of April throughout the region, and the best place to start is with the May edition of the Fisherman magazine, which is out this week. That was the first reported drum of the 2025 season. The first photo that I got, that's on the cover, and it's appropriate this week, and I'll tell you why in just a couple of minutes. But that was the photo that I received back on March 29th. It was Nick Tallarico, a boomer on Great Bay. It was the photo taken by Zach Michaud. As John Lee Hooker said, boom, 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 boom. The boomers are here. The article itself on black drum fishing, you'll see in the table of contents on page 26, is Nick Honachesky's Banging the Drum Shallow Water Boomers. Like I said, we'll revisit that in just a moment because Nick's article was based on that Barnegat Bay drum invasion of 2024. It's happening again this season. Other features for New Jersey, Delaware Bay anglers, tips and tactics for using sandworms this spring and all the way through summer with Captain Dave DeGennaro out of Barnegat. You've got Dave Anderson spotlighting our CKC, the Coastal Kayak Clash. That will return again in 2025. I wrote up an Outback Fluke piece with just 10 days to go before the opening here in New Jersey on May 4th. And you've got Tom P. from Rack and Fin Radio, a spotlight on New Jersey pike, pickerel, and muskie. Those are the local features in the May edition with the drum on the cover. But don't forget the glossy.
The May glossy edition of the Fisherman magazine is out now. Tagging and Bragging is part 2 from New Jersey, Delaware editor Jim Hutchinson on the striped bass tagging program and Striper Quest and how to get involved. Looking for a kayak? Let Long Island managing editor Matthew Broderick give you advice what may be the right kayak for you. Captain John Raguzzo has tips and tricks to keep that knife sharp and ready. Learn from New England editor Dave Anderson what artificial offerings are a natural selection when stripers are keyed in on menhaden. Intimidated when fishing at night, Nicholas Simioli has surf tips and tactics for plugging in the cover of night. Then check out New Jersey, Delaware editors Jim Hutchinson's Tail End column. To get all this and more, be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. When you subscribe, you get 12 glossy print editions, 26 digital editions to your inbox, this past weekend's reports, and full access to the website, and more. As a subscriber, you can also be part of the Dreamboat Challenge and win a new Steigercraft powered by Yamaha, and compete for a rigged-out kayak from Yak Attack in the Coastal Kayak Clash. Subscribe now.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing. That nothing says no to fish bites.
Also in that print edition for May, you've got news, calendar of events, product review, my editorial on sand mining off the Jersey coast, which we'll be talking about a little bit over the next couple of weeks. But I want you to turn to the report section in the middle of the magazine, right there where we spotlight all the reports and the for-hire captains and the tackle shops throughout the region. But sitting down with our field editors' columns over the weekend, Easter weekend, and trying to figure out the best from North, Central, and South Jersey, as well as freshwater and Delaware this week, we went with the 3 biggies. May striper forecast is hot and heavy, black drum invasion is underway, and the first bluefish reports over Easter. Yeah, from our weekly reports that were posted on Monday afternoon at thefisherman.com and what you'll find in the May edition, bluefish, and everyone is asking, when do they show up? Nick Honachesky's Beach Talk column this week at thefisherman.com and inside the May edition, we had reports of bluefish from the tackle box in Hazlitt, reportedly around Sandy Hook, in the Manasquan area as per the crew at Fisherman Supply, with a few 5 to 8 pound bluefish popping up around Cape May as well, according to the folks at Hands 2 Bait and Tackle. Now, I've not seen one yet, but the time has come. And I imagine the time has come for just getting down there to the Barnegat Inlet Rocks, to the Manasquan Bulkhead, to Shark River, as I mentioned in Cape May, probably around the rocks, but any time now. In the next couple of days, I would expect the bluefish invasion to be full bore with those racers running through the inlets. And the time has come for drumming in and around Island Beach State Park. Seaside Heights behind LBI, all around the LBI area. Since March 29th, as I referenced earlier, the black drum have been up inside Great Bay, as well as the Tuckerton, Port Republic, maybe Absecon area as well. A few isolated reports behind Atlantic City. And now that drum processional is underway to the north in the other stretches of Barnegat Bay above Barnegat Inlet. Keith Soicher emailed on Good Friday, April 18th, called it an epic day. Bayside, in Seaside, soaked clams for 6 hours and got into 3 good drum, the largest 44 pounds. Robbie sent this video clip to my buddy Adam. Adam sent it to me, and I share it with you because that drum bite is going on night and day. No telling where these fish will pop up after the spring, later into the summer. We get reports later on into the summer around the Raritan Bay, throughout the Raritan Bay, up along the flats. And at some point they show up offshore, the inshore wrecks and snags. But now is certainly the time to score from shore as well as by boat. On Saturday, it was Lauren Heppelwhite's turn. Actually, it was her boyfriend, Kevin, not Keith. I'm going to get Lauren in trouble. Kevin hit a 36-pound drum, surf casting at Island Beach State Park. The benefit, of course, of using shucked clams slinging out from shore, the open beaches or behind the sedges, is that you can also tempt a striper into the mix as well. Love this, this photo. Lauren got this nice catch and release striper. She said, quote, "It appears to be a breeding mama, so I gently put her back to breed." Again, I love that photo. And again, that's what clams, fresh shucked clams will get you. Some drum like Kevin had and the stripers as well that Lauren put up. So yeah, love is in the air. Breeding mama, Lauren mentioned. It's spawning season for striped bass, black drum, weakfish, even largemouth bass at this point in the year. The jumbo stripers are well underway, swimming up into the Delaware at this point for their spawning ritual. At some point this spring, the reports to continue to come through on the catch and release side, on this side, on the Jersey side of the Delaware River. And of course, we talked about it recently. Pennsylvania and Delaware have different limits. Dave Bidding let me know that he just splashed the boat, left Darby Marina in Philly, headed south of the Delaware Memorial Bridge, found some quick catch and release action. No grip and grin here. David wanted to get that bloodworm feasting jumbo striper back in after a quick D-hook to continue to let that fish travel upriver to spawn. Outside of the bay, outside of the Delaware Bay, I heard from Eric Lewandowski. He was fishing hard last Thursday, I believe at Indian River Inlet in Delaware. 8 hours tossing bucktails with pink paddle tails, managed a total of 73 striped bass from 18 to 27 inches. Fish were chasing cupcake size 5 to 7 inch bunker all around the place. Folks in Delaware are asking, I wonder when the stripers are going to arrive. Do what Eric did. Get out there and look for them, because those bass are starting to move in along the inshore areas, the surf areas, right along the beaches. Actually, Eric emailed me again on Monday and said, quote, "We listened to what you said, took advice from some friends, and headed to the Raritan Bay. Having never fished this location, I had no clue what to expect, so I put on an Old Faithful, the bucktail. First cast landed a beauty of a bass, 40 inches, heck of a day." So yeah, that Raritan Bay bite continues. Fish are there, some of them staging before they spawn, but we're getting new waves of striped bass in from the ocean waters on a regular clip. So it could happen at any point. Now, I got out earlier this week with Captain Erwin Heinrich aboard his Scales and Tails out of Twin Lights Marina in Highlands, along with my friend Jerry Gomber from Tsunami and Bimini Bay. We were looking for striped bass. I will tell you, the chartreuse was the color of success in those swim shads in the river and out on the open bay as well. And Captain Erwin worked his butt off, keeping an eye on the surface and another on the fish finder. These fish were spread out earlier this week, sometimes eating deep, an occasional swirling on metal lips like the one Jerry was using. Did catch one on a metal lip in 55-degree water temperatures. Nothing more exciting than getting fish those swirls and those slaps on the top, yeah, it makes a bigger difference if you get one. We were throwing some spooks as well. We had the swirls, we had the pops, and again, like I said, 55-degree water temperatures on the incoming. That was on Tuesday, but that action is sure to intensify in the coming days. But again, like I said, sometimes it's just as cool to get those swipes and swirls up on top as it is to get the actual hookup. Sometimes. Nothing like that enticing wiggle of a middle lip near the surface. But in less than ideal conditions, far from satisfying conditions with 30-knot winds and overcast conditions, but Mikey Johnson here shows off that excitement with a back bay bass off the docks in Barnegat Bay, caught in the windswept weather that we had sometime last week. It wasn't going to keep him down, and look at that smile, because that's what happens when you catch a good one. Dad said, great memories, which is really what it's all about. We are beginning to hear more on the oceanfront stripers as water temperatures continue to improve. Mike at Sea Isle Bait and Tackle said Jimmy Credelli got on an open beach striper this week, catch and release fish on salted clam. That one went 43 inches. On the slot side, the LBI String Derby is underway. The first keeper slot of the new season was weighed in by Matt Shapiro at Jingles in Beach Haven. That fish was caught south end of LBI on clam, 30 5/8 inches, 9.96 pounds. 30 5/8 inches, just below the 31-inch slot, which brings me to a little regulatory reminder this week. We have a couple of them, but let's talk striper measurements first. The state of Massachusetts just updated their measurement rules for striped bass, informing anglers that stripers must now be measured by squeezing the tail. So it's a straight length measurement from tip of the snout to the end of the pinched tail. Now, some folks that I've seen on social media have been debating this, with more than a few New Jersey anglers saying, don't worry about it, that's all Massachusetts. Perhaps. But here in New Jersey, that's always been the way that we are supposed to measure striped bass, pinching the tail. The 2025 Marine Fisheries Digest from the State Division of Fish and Wildlife is not out yet, but if you go to page 14 of last year's Digest 2024, you'll see that instruction, pinching the tail. Essentially, squeezing the tail will add roughly a ½ inch to the total striper length, whereas keeping that tail fanned reduces the length, believe it or not, by as much as 1.5 inches. So when playing this tight slot game, that's a real game changer in terms of the way you're supposed to measure your fish. Now that will come into play more on May 15th of this year. That's when the Striped Bass bonus program kicks off again. The application period is open now. You get that fish to 24 to just less than 28 inches, 27.99. That's your bonus fish to be applied with the bonus tag. Google New Jersey Striped Bass bonus program to find the page at njfishandwildlife.com. The first weakfish of 2025 has been reported. Cameron at Boulevard Bait and Tackle in Ocean View said he had a customer who wanted to remain tight-lipped on his weakfish success. So Cam decided that he'd get himself out after work, fought the gnats, and found himself an 18-incher along the sod banks. Now, Cam wasn't tight-lipped, but you can see that background may be blurred to protect the innocent, but the fact of the matter is that they are here. Or could be that it was just very dark where Cam was fishing for that weakfish. So it is time to get those pink zooms and finesse out there and start gunning for a weakfish this season.
Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dream Boat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize. So however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
My local cinderworm spawn got underway again on Easter Sunday in between the full moon on April 13th and the new moon on April 28th. I always set my sights on the bigger lunar phases when it comes to that spawn, but it just goes to show you can't always predict what Mother Nature is about to do. Gotta love those laughing gulls. Earth Day just passed, and on this week's Open Boat, Jenni presents viewers with a challenge of sorts to help us leave our favorite fishing locations in better condition than when we first got there. Yes, indeed, Jenni's talking trash.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Open Boat. I'm outside here, basking in the soon-to-be rain. This is perfect timing to do an open boat, but I'm gonna make it quick because we just had Earth Day, and I wanted to propose a proposition to you guys similar to what I did in the fall run with picking up your trash everywhere you go fishing. Now that it's getting warmer out, we have a lot more people out fishing, not only on boats, but on the land. So I kind of want to set up a little, public service announcement to just be aware, pick up your trash. Stop talking trash and pick it up and put it in garbages. There's plenty of beach access points, docks, marinas, fishing, hiking trails, stuff like that. There's garbage cans everywhere. So there's no point in littering when you can just pick up your garbage, take it, put it in your pocket, and dump it later on. So be aware of that. Like I said, we just had Earth Day, but anglers like myself, I treat Earth Day like every day, because if you take care of the environment you're fishing in, it's gonna create a better ecosystem all around, and those fish will be happy. People, if you're cutting leader material, don't throw that tag end you snipped off into the water, put it in your pocket. You don't see me back here tying rigs next to my koi pond, dumping my leader material into my pond. I have common sense because I care for those fish, just like everyone should care for the fish they're catching in whatever environment they're in. Trout streams, the ocean, rivers, wherever you're fishing, have awareness for taking litter. Literally take your litter and throw it in the garbage. Even if it's not yours, you should take every time you go out fishing as a beach sweep opportunity to pick up garbage. And it's good karma too, People flex the big fish pictures, so flex your bags and bags of garbage you just picked up from someone else, or even your own, it's whatever. Make sure you take responsibility if you are considering littering. Don't do it. It doesn't look good, and we want to keep the environment clean. So have the awareness to pick up garbage, look for it when you're fishing. And if you find anything cool, on a beach sweep, you want to show me that you don't consider garbage, but it is left on the beach, like a plastic. There's been times I've found, busted lures or little buttons and different cool things, marbles. Email me. I want to see it too. I love finding things on beach sweeps, but be responsible. Pick up your garbage, even if it isn't your garbage and you see it, pick it up. Be good, take care of the environment, and stay tuned for next week's Open Boat. We're gonna start a fluking challenge, so get your fluke rigs ready. I know New Jersey, May 4th is opening day. Hit some Back Bay areas for fluke, and stay tuned for that, because similar with what we did in the fall with the surf casting challenge, we're gonna do it for fluking. So I'll catch you guys on next week's Open Boat.
I'm getting a lot of freshwater reports emailed to me at jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. Some awesome photos of some pretty darn good fish, including this one. Antoine Thurston with an 8-pound brown trout at West Branch Reservoir on a jig and mini last week. Thanks to Curtis K for sending along. And thanks to my friend George Shower, the Pocono Outdoors guy, for his weekly freshwater updates here at thefisherman.com every single week throughout the year from the shores of Beltsville.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, the weather has certainly made a turn for the better for a change. It's not the freezing cold. It's amazing what a week makes as far as the weather goes and fishing out here on the water. You know, you kind of see some boats actually getting started up here on the racks. Few folks starting to get out and get some lines wet, but the weather couldn't be better, especially, you know, this week. Today is the start of the bi-state annual bi-state shad fishing contest. Now, a lot of guys are excited getting into that contest as well. A lot of great prizes for that one. With all the excitement coming up to the tournament, you know, everybody's been a little bit tight-lipped and keeping all their action close to their chest. Few folks did check in with some shad, and we'll share them with you now. Bailey and Kevin were out on the Fin Seeker this week. They got into a mess of shad one morning, and they managed to share a couple of those real nice roe with us today. So great work there, Bailey and Colin. Also, Kevin Ingram checked in with his Shadowlac lures, putting them to work out in the river. He managed to have a pretty good day out in the river this week. He managed to get himself 70 plus shad in the boat one day. He said lots of doubles and triples, and he even got a couple really nice roe in the mix as well. So thanks, Kevin, for that check-in. I hope a lot of those guys in the shad fishing contest are having your kind of luck as well. So good luck to everyone in the contest this week. I'm looking for some real good numbers, and we'll get you into those results in next week's show. Now, the trout is still going on, guys, over here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Lots of guys still out getting on some of them stockies. Some real good action to go around. We had Jersey Jen Wan check in. He was out there in Jersey getting into a beastly rainbow trout. Can't get better than that. That thing's almost a steelhead. It's so big. So great work there, Jen. Also, Paul Stewart checked in, reminding us that the largemouth bass bite is going on. A lot of pre-spawn bass action there. They're still moving up in the shallow water. Some good action there if you want to throw some jerk baits or creature baits this time of year. Also, Chris Matchison checked in, reminding us as well that there's an awesome crappie bite all over the area this time of year. Weather is just right for those crappies moving up, so you can get into some of that action as well. Lots of fish to catch, guys. Don't forget, it's not just the few we mentioned. You also got smallmouth and muskie and pike in the area, because this cool water is still going to let you catch and release them quite safely. So lots of great fishing to come around. We'll catch up more as the season goes on, but for now, get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
April Tog, still in play here in New Jersey, but not much longer. You have 7 days left on your 4-fish bag and 15-inch minimum size. My buddy Bill Perry Sr. from Shark River Hills was out on the Skylarker out of Belmar the other day, and a 5-pounder came home. Good for the table. A great eating fish right there. Hey, my recommendation if you get a 5-6 pound tog, some of that thicker shoulder meat, blackened blackfish. Rub some of those thicker fillets. Remember Chef Paul Prudhomme had that blackened redfish, destroyed all the redfish in the Gulf? Something like that. Emerald's got a blackened seasoning. If you've got a Trader Joe's nearby, they have this barbecue rub with coffee and garlic that's rather interesting. But what you want to do is coat both sides of the fish with some of that rub. You want to heat that cast iron grill up to high and use vegetable or canola oil. Do not use olive oil. It burns at a lower temperature. Once you get that thing nice and hot, slide those fillets in, cook both sides 3 to 4 minutes, and blackened blackfish is fantastic. It is the time of year where I start making sure all my spices are in order. For the crabs, for what I need in 10 days, for summer flounder, because I'm gonna have some fresh fluke sandwiches. Of course, you've got the tuna season coming up, and I know guys are out there on the grounds now past the mud hole looking for some of those early giants. Have not heard any reports just yet, but that's about to take fire. When you get some of your tuna steaks this season, what I like to do is a thin layer of olive oil, just as I've got the grill heated up, coat it in everything but the bagel seasoning. Some folks just like to use black pepper. Some folks like to use sesame seed. I like everything on there. And of course, your taco seasoning, because once we start with the Spanish mackerel, maybe you've got some ling, or you're catching kingfish in the surf, there's nothing like a fresh fish taco to get through the year. You want to rub your fish, and that's the way to go. Another rub of sorts, regulatory rub, comes from the state of New York, where some of our Staten Island readers are scratching their heads and have been emailing me of late. You're no longer allowed to bait up using full live green crabs when fishing for blackfish in New York waters. That green crab must be dead. Kudos to the state of New York and their DEC for coming up with one of the dumbest inshore regulations I've seen in my life. You can sell green crabs, you can buy green crabs live, you can have live green crabs, but once it comes time to put it on the hook, that green crab must be dead. Now, that makes sense, I guess, if you're using half a green crab, because once you slice it in half with the scissors, it's dead. But what if you're trimming off the legs and the claws? It's still alive. And you want to use a big whole green crab for bait. It's got to be dead. So I guess you got to step on it before deploying that whole crab into the water. We'll have more on this ridiculousness coming up the next couple of weeks because our Long Island edition editor, Matt Broderick, is trying to get to the bottom of this craziness, getting clarification from the Department of Environmental Confusion in New York. The Department of Environmental Conservation. It's feeling a little bit more like spring now here on the Jersey Shore. Temperatures holding steady in the 60s and 70s by day heading into this weekend. Good sign for Saturday's American Anglers Surf Fishing event on LBI. There is a little bit of rain in the forecast, but rain should not stop you from going out there and looking for a contest winner. Registration will be outside the police department in Long Beach Township starting at 5:30 a.m. Fishing runs from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. You can get all the details at AmericanAnglerUS.com. I do believe that ASAC rules are in play there for that Saturday event on LBI. This Saturday, I'll be out at the New Jersey State Federation of Sportsmen's Clubs annual Jamboree in Logan Township. That includes the Skillful Anglers Awards, the Deer Hunting Classic. I won't be there by day, but I will be the keynote speaker for the Federation banquet that night. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what to say just yet. I think I'll be working on my homework on the school bus in. 10 days until summer flounder season that reopens in New Jersey. Fluking in 10 days, boy, is that big news for me. I've got my gulp and fish bites all gathered up. I got to get my jigs in place and get my rigs in place. I'm looking forward to having Dad on board with me on May 4th. That's a Sunday. For the time being, before that, I'm going to be on Dad's boat in Great Bay looking for some of those drum and maybe a little blackened drum is in my future as well. Get a look at my article on page 22 of the May edition of the Fisherman magazine for some Back Bay fluking tips for that season opener. But first, my prayers are with the folks in Waretown. Lacey this week appears that damaging fire started off somewhere around Bryant Road. That's a dirt road that leads through the pines near the Forked River Mountains, north of one of my favorite places on earth, Wells Mills County Park and the Cedar View Lodge. That seemed to be okay. Everything seemed to be a little bit farther to the north and to the east. I was on Facebook Tuesday night and first thing again Wednesday morning, trying to monitor how everybody was doing as far as the status. I hope your home property and businesses are in order. 11,500 acres of this blaze, 30% of it contained as of Wednesday morning. God bless the first responders, the New Jersey Forest Fire Service, and local responders. It was a horrible, horrible blaze. It prompted the Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey, Tahisha Way, to declare a state of emergency in Ocean County due to what she said was, quote, accelerated growth with an estimated burn of 8,500 acres, threatening more than 1,000 structures, requiring the evacuation of residents in the area and the loss of power to over 25,000 residents. Terrible, terrible blaze. I would take note of the fact that Governor Murphy is out of the office this week. That's why Lieutenant Governor issued the executive order, the declaration of emergency. Governor Murphy is he's leading an economic mission to Saudi Arabia right now. I'm serious. No kidding. He's there from April 25th to May 3rd, hoping to attract Mideast investments here in the Garden State. I don't know if you read my editor's log in the May edition called Sand for Sale. Perhaps the governor is looking to get into the coastal sand mining business ever since his industrial offshore wind initiatives and investments blew up. Back to that fire, as of Wednesday's press conference, the cause of the blaze, to the best of my understanding, was still under investigation. That said, I have this to say. Do not throw lit cigarettes out of your moving vehicle. That is stupid. I still see people do it all the time. You're flicking a lit cigarette out your car window. The world wants you to stop smoking. And that's why the vehicle manufacturers have taken out the ashtrays in place of an additional drink holder. So put an empty soda can in one of those drink holders and put your empty cigarette, your lit cigarette that you're done with, in that can. Heck of a way to celebrate Earth Week, isn't it? God bless all of you in that little section of Jersey heaven where the pines meet the bay. It is a beautiful area, and my prayers are with you this week. Catch them up, stay safe, and I hope you enjoy reading your May edition of the Fisherman magazine out this week.